back at it. Okay, so the store is broken into, as y'all see. Water bottles, water bottles. That's what the little boy died because of water bottle. He stole a water bottle. Hey. 89-cent water he lost his life for. That's crazy.
Sorry for the
plenty of water bottles. Now water so free is crazy.
But you mean to tell me all these black people go against the nigga who's speaking up for niggas and side with that? All these black people mad at me by what I said about them Asian folk, homie. Johnny Dang and now another Chinese motherfucker ain't never done nothing for us, homie. They didn't cry when Tamir Rice died. They didn't stand up with Mike Brown. Even from the time they was building the railroad through the Pacific, and one of them had Burlington Northern on the side. The niggas was building the Burlington Northern, the Asians was building Pacific, trying to race to meet in the middle. Niggas didn't fuck with us. Even in our stores, nigga. Our kids can't go in their stores and just shop freely. Leave your backpacks at the door. You know, come in here. They do our kids bad, and they sell stale candy, outdated food to our people, and they will kill our children behind that stale candy. Nigga, expired Snickers. They shot Latasha Harlan in the head. Nigga, we still ain't done nothing about that.
We now know the amount of the settlement in the wrongful death suit of 15-year-old Latasha Harlan. Attorneys say the Harlan's family will receive $300,000. Harlan was shot by Korean grocer Soon Ja-do in a confrontation over a bottle of juice. Do was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to probation. The money will come from Do's insurance company.
How the fuck they get a pass and somebody do something to them bitches, and within 1 year of a president, these bitches got all kind of laws enacted. 1-800 nigga, baddest nigga done in this country, homie. And they ain't never spoke one time for us. They Chinese rappers can come over here and go nigga. And then when they get mad at us, they can also say f nigga. We can't say f you good. We don't even know how to speak they language to disrespect them. So they come take on our culture. China Mac, Johnny Dang, they get to be nigga, huh? And when a nigga say, nah, f you Chinese boy, go rap in your language. Until y'all get something back y'all been taking. Y'all don't even hire us. Go look at any Chinese restaurant, any Chinese store. See if a nigga working anywhere, my nigga. See if a half-breed motherfucker working. Nigga, they'll go learn Spanish before they learn how to talk to a nigga. So man, no, how you get that, nigga? Nigga supposed to be boycotting Johnny Dang. We supposed to shame every goddamn black rapper, take they black dollar to that nigga. I'm sorry, to that Chinese motherfucker. Whatever the fuck he ain't no nigga. But fuck him. My nigga. Hey, my nigga. Hey, he got so much money, he so rich. He telling us this white boy way richer than y'all. I'm making this white boy you niggas. That's what he said. And you niggas rapping. Man, I'm sick of these niggas, homie.
There are some names that become impossible to ignore, not because of a single event, but because of a pattern that stretches across years, a pattern that leaves people asking the same unsettling question again and again. How many times can someone find themselves at the center of violent confrontations before people start looking closer? For more than a decade, one convenience store owner in South Carolina has repeatedly made headlines following a series of shootings connected to alleged shoplifting incidents. Each time, investigators examined the facts. Each time, legal questions followed. And each time, the outcome sparked intense debate. Then came the incident that will place his name under a national spotlight, the death of a 14-year-old boy. A tragedy that divided a community, ignited protests, and led to a murder trial watched across the country. But to understand how everything reached that point, we have to go back years earlier, back to the first shooting, back to where the questions began. In 2015, an incident unfolded outside a convenience store that will quietly introduce many people to the name Rick Chow. According to reports, a woman had been accused of stealing beer from the store. What happened next would immediately raise eyebrows. As the woman drove away from the property, gunfire erupted. Not one shot, not two, 6 shots. Investigators would later confirm that Chow fired multiple rounds into the departing vehicle. For many observers, the situation seemed straightforward. A suspected shoplifter was leaving. The threat appeared to be ending, yet bullets were fired. Questions quickly followed. Why was deadly force used? Was anyone in immediate danger? Could the situation have been handled differently? Authorities launched an investigation, but when the dust settled, prosecutors declined to pursue criminal charges. The shooting was ruled a lawful act of self-defense. Legally, the case was closed. Publicly, however, some people remain uneasy because while the law has spoken, the image of 6 rounds being fired at a fleeing vehicle was not easily forgotten, and it would not be the last time a suspected shoplifting incident ended with gunfire.
This stack of incident reports shows just how many times the Richland County Sheriff's Department responded to the Shell gas station located off of Parkland Road over the past 3 years. A bulk of those calls related to shoplifting. WIS looked into hundreds of incident reports received via FOIA on Thursday. We found more than 50 calls, all related to shoplifting from the gas station. It's unclear who made the calls because that information is redacted, but we found where police responded to calls ranging from vandalism to shoplifting items like a single candy bar or a Red Bull. But there is one incident that stands out. This video appears to show Chow fighting with a teenage girl while a group of teens crowd around them. You can see the two hit the floor while struggling with each other. The video appears to show Chow with a gun on his hip during the altercation. You can hear the girl screaming for Chow to get off of her and stop touching her, and you can also hear Chow screaming back for the girl to leave the store. While there is no report on this incident, WIS was able to obtain those 911 calls made pertaining to what took place.
We need help at the Shell station at 7441 Parkland Road. There's a disturbance and fighting, and yeah, I'm an employee here.
Okay.
We need an officer right now.
Okay, are you at the Shell station, ma'am?
Yes.
All right, what's the address?
7441 Parkland Road.
Hold on. All right, do you know about how many people are involved?
It's about 5 or 6 people involved. They spoke to my manager.
All right, are they males and females or what?
They're all females. My manager is a male.
Okay, black or white females?
Black.
Okay.
Yes.
They are in the parking lot, right?
No, we're in the store. They're locked in the premises.
All right, they're refusing to leave?
No, they stole, and then he checked their bags, and they were locked in the store, and yeah, we're just all in the store right now.
All right, hold on.
And we asked the Sheriff's Department why no incident report was filed for that confrontation. We were told it's because the issue was either resolved prior to deputies' arrival, either the kids left or the staff declined to file a report.
3 years later, another confrontation, another alleged shoplifting incident, and once again, another shooting. In 2018, Chow encountered a suspected shoplifter on his property. Details vary depending on whose account is examined. What is undisputed is that the encounter escalated into a physical confrontation. Then came the gunshots. The suspect was struck twice in the leg. For the second time in 3 years, a person accused of theft left the scene with gunshot wounds. For the second time, investigators examined the evidence. And for the second time, authorities concluded that Chow's actions were legally justified. No criminal charges were filed. No conviction followed. Yet the incident reinforced a growing perception among critics and supporters alike. This was no longer an isolated event. 2 separate shoplifting related encounters, 2 separate shootings, 2 separate investigations, and 2 determinations of self-defense. Some viewed Chow as a business owner repeatedly forced into dangerous situations. Others saw a troubling pattern emerging. Neither side knew that a far more devastating incident was still ahead, an incident involving a teenager, an accusation, a chase, in a single gunshot that would change multiple lives forever.
I'm trying to stop. Let go, Dad. Let go.
No, come to stop phone. 911, we are officer. Oh, Mama. I need an officer right now. I told you if you want to talk,
I told you to back off.
I told you I'm trying to get out.
I told you to back off.
Why did you throw my charger down, girl? Where's my piece of my floor? Why are you pushing me? Why are you pushing me?
Put down!
Why are you pushing me? Got my face. I'm trying to be a push right now. Why are you touching me? I'm not hitting you, sir. Move.
Let go!
Can you get out of the okay? Because my phone
Hey, no, you told him to back off to walk before them.
No, I was not. What about this?
The summer of 2023. What began as a routine evening would soon become national news. 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton entered the convenience store. At some point, suspicions arose. Someone believed the teenager had stolen bottles of water, but investigators would later determine that no theft had actually occurred. The suspicion was false, yet events were already moving forward. Chow and his son left the store and pursued the teenager. What happened during the following moments became the subject of intense scrutiny, conflicting interpretations, and eventually a murder trial. Witnesses' statements, courtroom testimony, and evidence painted a rapidly unfolding confrontation. One side argued that Chow believed his son was in danger. The other questioned whether the deadly encounter should have happened at all. Then came the gunshot. A single round struck Cyrus Carmack-Belton. The 14-year-old died. News of the shooting spread quickly. Outrage followed. Protests erupted. Community leaders demanded answers. National media outlets picked up the story. For many observers, the circumstances seemed deeply troubling. A teenager, a mistaken accusation, a chase, and a fatal outcome. Authorities arrested Chow and charged him with murder. For the first time in the long history of these incidents, criminal charges moved forward. The stakes had never been higher. The case would eventually reach a courtroom, and there, 12 jurors would be asked to answer a question that had divided the public for years. Did Rick Chow commit murder, or was he acting in defense of his son?
Well, tensions are high tonight in Columbia, South Carolina, following the shooting death of a 14-year-old boy who was falsely accused of shoplifting. The gas station owner, who has a history of confrontations with customers, has been charged with murder. CBS's Nicole Sganga reports the community is fed up with yet another senseless loss of life.
Mourners protested outside this convenience store in Columbia, South Carolina, to remember 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton, who was shot and killed the night before by the store owner. Hours later, rioters broke in, smashing merchandise and toppling shelves, angry over the loss of another young black life.
It was nothing but looting, just plain, pure looting. And what does that got to do with that 14-year-old?
According to the sheriff, on Sunday night, Belton took water bottles from a cooler before putting them back. The store's owner, 58-year-old Rick Chow, thought he was stealing. After they argued, Belton left and was chased down the street by Chow and his son. Then, Chow observed what looked to be a firearm, pulled out his Glock, and fired one shot, hitting the 14-year-old in his back, piercing his heart. The boy's gun was found at the scene.
We believe he had a gun, but we don't believe he pointed at him, and that's the key to it.
Chow is now being held on one charge of murder. The sheriff says the store owner has a history of incidents involving customers, including a shooting in 2018, which was deemed self-defense and for which Chow was not charged. Nada Rutherford is not only the coroner who witnessed Belton's autopsy, but a community member and mother.
It is exhausting to see young black men being killed. It's exhausting to see any person being killed with gun violence.
Behind me, the gas station now boarded up. The 14-year-old's first name, Cyrus, spray painted on its walls. Now, Belton graduated from the 8th grade just last week. His school principal describes him as full of light and humor.
New tonight, the Columbia gas station owner accused of shooting and killing a 14-year-old had a court appearance today. Rick Chow appeared at the Richland County Courthouse with his attorney, Jack Swirling. Swirling made a request that he have all indoor and outdoor surveillance footage from the day of the shooting. He said his client voluntarily handed over those videos. The judge agreed in this case and said they should have access to all the footage. Next, Swirling asked for the information on the gun that 14-year-old Cyrus Belton was carrying the day of the shooting. He wanted to know where the gun was purchased. Well, a federal investigation is still underway regarding that gun, but the judge did rule that once the federal agents finish up that investigation, they will then hand over that information. In May of 2023, deputies say Belton was at the Express Mart on Park Lane Road. They say Chow accused him of stealing and then chased him out of his store, shooting and killing him.
Well, 3 years after the deadly shooting of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton, the man charged in his death is now going to trial. Rick Chow is accused of murdering the teen outside a gas station that he owned on Park Lane Road. News 19's Kiki Gushu is now live in the studio and has more on what's ahead of this trial. Kiki.
This case dates back to Memorial Day weekend of 2023, when investigators say a confrontation over a suspected shoplifting turned deadly. May 28, 2023. Authorities say 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton was shot down the street from a convenience store on Park Lane Road after store owner Rick Chow suspected him of shoplifting bottled water. Investigators say Chow and his son chased Cyrus toward the Springtree Apartments, where Chow fired a shot into the teen's back, killing him. The next day, Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott addressed the public.
We're charging the owner of the store, Rick Chow, with murder.
Chow turned himself in that afternoon. That same day, the community gathered to protest and hold a vigil near the shooting scene as people mourned Cyrus's death.
Stop for a moment of silence for this young brother's life.
Overnight, the Shell gas station was ransacked and vandalized.
It's gonna break you to lose water. It's just unbelievable.
On June 2nd and 3rd, Cyrus's family held a viewing and funeral.
I'm just heartbroken with the whole situation. Like, I really and truly am. This is devastating.
Over the next 2 years, Chow's attorneys filed multiple motions, challenging evidence, requesting bond, and arguing self-defense under South Carolina's Stand Your Ground law. The family also filed a civil lawsuit against Chow and related business entities. Bond was denied in 2023, and subsequent requests were also rejected.
Every day I wake up knowing that I will never see my son again. I'll never be able to receive one of his loving type hugs. I'll never hear his voice that was just starting to get deeper. I'll never see him graduate high school or go to prom.
In November of 2025, a judge denied Chow's Stand Your Ground defense, clearing the way for the case to move to trial. In April and May of this year, Judge Heath Taylor also denied several other defense requests, including efforts to delay the trial. Now, nearly 3 years after Cyrus Carmack-Belton's death, the case is entering its next phase, with jury selection set to begin Tuesday in Richland County. I'll be inside the courtroom tomorrow morning, bringing you updates as those proceedings get underway. Reporting live, Kiki Gushu, News 19, WLTX.
The trial became one of the most closely watched legal proceedings in South Carolina. Weeks of testimony, competing narratives, emotional arguments from both sides. Prosecutors sought to prove malice. The defense argued that Chow genuinely believed his son faced an immediate threat. As jurors deliberated, many wondered which version of events they will ultimately accept. Then, on June 1st, 2026, the verdict arrived. Not guilty.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Chi Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty.
I don't care what that jury said. There is no justification for that. It should never happen again, and it is not open season on black people for anybody to feel like they should be able to do it because the jury found him not guilty.
Tonight, the verdict is in. After deliberating for nearly 8 hours, a jury has found Rick Chow not guilty of murder in the death of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton. And you just heard there from attorney Todd Rutherford, who is representing the Carmack-Belton family. That jury finding Chow not guilty of murder in that shooting death. The verdict again coming nearly 8 hours after deliberations. News 19's Kiki Gushu is in studio tonight with more details. Kiki.
The jury was struggling with this case. They asked to hear definitions of malice and murder again, sent multiple notes to the judge, and at one point, some jurors indicated they were ready to go home. But Judge Heath Taylor kept them deliberating, saying the attention surrounding this case made him reluctant to stop the process once it has started. Then, just before 8:45 tonight, the court announced its verdict.
Indictment number 2023 GS 40-07440. State of South Carolina, County of Richland versus Chi Rick Chow. We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Chi Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty. Fine number.
The verdict ended a day that began with emotional closing arguments. Prosecutors argued Cyrus Carmack-Belton was a frightened child running for his life.
He died scared. He died bleeding to death. Rick Chow's face being the last one he saw. He died surrounded by strangers.
The defense told jurors the state was ignoring what attorney Sean Kent called the rest of the story. He argued this case was not about a stolen bottle of water, but about a father trying to protect his son.
They made you think the great Rick Chow, this evil human being over here, killed a man over $1. And that is disgusting, that is awful, that is abhorrent, but that's not what happened.
After the verdict, family attorney Todd Rutherford said the family was devastated.
There is no way that a child who did nothing wrong, who is shot in his back, how that jury can justify that verdict. I've been practicing law for almost 30 years. I've never seen anything like this.
Meanwhile, defense attorney Jack Swerling said the jury reached the correct decision.
And I just don't know what any parent would do otherwise. I mean, nobody wants to take anybody's life. But you're going to protect your children, you're going to protect yourself, you're going to protect your wife.
County jail tonight. The Belton family says it will continue pursuing a civil lawsuit, while the defense says the jury's verdict confirmed what they have argued from the start, that Chow acted to defend his son. The Belton's family attorney also called for calm tonight, urging people upset by the verdict to express their feelings peacefully. Live in studio, Kiki Gushu, News 19, WLTX.
All right, Kiki, thank you again. Rick Chow expected to be released from the Richland County Jail sometime this evening.
The jury unanimously acquitted Rick Chow of murder. Legally, he walked free. The courtroom decision immediately reignited fierce debate. Supporters viewed the verdict as confirmation that the shooting met the legal standards of self-defense. Critics argued that justice had not been served, but regardless of opinion, one fact remained: the criminal case was over, at least officially. Yet another legal battle was already waiting.
We begin tonight's broadcast with a follow-up to last night's not guilty verdict of Rick Chow. A day after he was acquitted of murdering 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton, we saw reaction, or we're getting reaction, from the community. Our crews saw protesters gathered outside Chow's former gas station off of Park Lane Road. In Columbia, Richland deputies also at the store now at this hour. They have been there since shortly after the verdict was announced last night. News 19's Whitney Sullivan speaking with criminal defense attorney John Mobley tonight. He was asked, where does he believe things possibly broke down for the prosecution in presenting his case?
From opening statements, one of the vast contrasts that I saw between the prosecution and the defense, where I believe the prosecutors dropped the ball, is they didn't really do much to humanize the victim in the case. And I remember listening to both opening statements. And while the prosecutor, the solicitor, did mention he was 14 years old, that was kind of it. Had I been prosecuting that case, I would have talked about not only his age, but where he went to school, what he liked to do for fun, what video games he liked. I would have wanted to bring him to life so the jurors could have some image of this young man, this life in their mind, and they just didn't do that. Something I would have done differently if I was a prosecutor, and I don't think that they really leaned into the fact that this team was hunted. They talked about him being chased out of the store about a bottle of water. That was kind of their big theme. They kind of hung everything on that, all about a bottle of water. This team was hunted. 130 yards. And I remember when, in opening statements, when they talked about that, one thing I thought was great was he described that it was that 130 yards would be the equivalent of a football field, goalpost to goalpost. Had I given that opening statement, I would have had that picture up there. I would have had a visual picture of a football field from goalpost to goalpost so the jury could see how far they hunted. These two grown men hunted this 14-year-old. And I would have used that word. I wouldn't have said chase, I would have said hunted. That's how I would have really portrayed this, and which I think is accurate, quite frankly. Now, on the flip side, the defense, in their opening statement, they talked about the defendant's credentials and how he came to America and how he built his business and his family. They gave the jury all this information to humanize this person. So, big difference. I think that made a big difference in the jury's mind because they can identify with one side more than the other.
Again, criminal defense attorney John Mobley with his opinion about what happened in this case. And new tonight, we're hearing from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor Byron Gibson on the not guilty verdict. He did issue a statement late today saying that last night's verdict has brought on strong emotions from our local and national communities. He added that he's disappointed with last night's outcome and continues to believe that Chow's actions were not justifiable. However, he adds that he respects our criminal justice system and the jury's decision.
Being here is very difficult. However, I am going to be Cyrus strong because my son was strong. My son was smart, he was loving, he was kind. I cannot believe that from the time he stepped into that store, as we all saw, he was racially profiled. They followed him around. He was shopping. He took 4 waters, he put them back. He even showed them by shaking his hoodie that he took nothing. And he walked out of the store. He didn't argue with them. He didn't have any confrontation. He didn't curse them. He just walked out. He was respectful. And yet 2 grown people chased him. He fell and they shot him. He shot him dead, like as if he was a dog. And I do not understand how that jury can come back and say that he was not guilty. He was in a runner's stance. It was shown by the pathologist and they said he was not guilty. It was devastating for me to get a call from Alvin S. Glenn letting me know that Rick Chow was released. That broke me more than you can ever imagine because my murderer of my son was set free.
Even after the acquittal, the controversy surrounding the case continues. The family of Cyrus Carmack-Belton has filed a wrongful death lawsuit seeking financial damages. Unlike a criminal trial, where guilt must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, civil court operates under a different standard. That case remains active, and it may determine the next chapter in the story that has already spanned more than a decade. Looking back, the timeline remains remarkable. A shooting in 2015, another shooting in 2018, a fatal encounter in 2023, and now an ongoing civil battle that could continue for years. 3 separate incidents, multiple investigations, countless questions, and a debate that remains far from settled. As new developments emerge, one thing is certain: the story of Rick Chow and Cyrus Carmack-Belton is not ending anytime soon.
And it's not fair, and it's unjust. And nobody can tell me that this is not racially motivated, because I'm not supposed to be on social media anyway. But when I go and I look at my social media, I have racist people coming to my page, going under my son's pictures, leaving the most horrific things, saying that they're glad he's dead, good riddance, and I am tired. I don't want this to happen to any other child. No black or brown child should have to go through this. No parent should have to go through this. This has to stop today. And I just learned today that South Carolina, if it's a murder charge, that they cannot bring in any of your prior acts. Rick Chow shot 2 people before. Rick Chow accosted a child in that store and beat her up with a gun on her hip. And none of that information could be brought to light. And I do not think that is fair, and if that is on the law books, that needs to be changed. Because if that was not there, then my son would have gotten justice. And to allow this person to terrorize this neighborhood for 12, 13 years is ridiculous. And it's just showing that it's okay to treat black and brown people wrong, and it's not. My son loved everybody. He would tell me like, oh, Mom, you're being judgmental. You shouldn't do that. That's against God. And the devil shot him dead, and he laid right there. And we got no justice from South Carolina. And I think it is disgusting, and I don't even know why. I have no words. But every day I will not be able to speak to my son, hear his voice change, see him grow, go to prom. He will never get married. I would never hold my grandchildren, nothing. But Chow is able to go home with his lion son, Andy Chow, and they're able to have dinner with the wife, Alice, who all 3 of them came out that store, and they chased my baby. And I think the entire family should be held accountable because it was racially profiled. And I do not think that it is right, and they all should be punished.
In the hours following this ruling, a community is looking to be heard and wanting to keep attention on the case that is sparking debate nationwide.
WIS reporter Lena Allen speaking with demonstrators earlier today and shares their message tonight.
Protesters outraged about the Rick Chow murder trial not guilty verdict, letting their signs and voices
Justice for Cyrus
be seen and heard. For many, this case has been personal from the very beginning.
We've been involved in the situation from the very beginning, from the day that Cyrus was murdered.
Jerome Bowers, a part of the many protesters who say they believe the verdict represents a failure of the justice system.
We're going to stand in the gap for children who are losing their lives unjustly.
The shock and emotions flooding in after the verdict Monday as the cries of Carmack-Belton's family filled the courtroom. Rick Chow's wife also getting emotional as they took the handcuffs off her husband. Meanwhile, a call for change now filling the streets. A memorial for Carmack-Belton placed where he was shot, 130 yards from the gas station, now surrounded by flowers and water bottles. Chow and his son suspected Carmack-Belton stole a water bottle from their store in 2023, which turned out to be false. So today, instead of a sign, Michelle Fletcher was holding a bottle of water up in the air.
This is what they valued his body at and chasing him for because they thought that he had a bottle of water. And I just feel like his value is so much more than this.
As this protest has grown, So have RCSD deputies patrolling the gas station. They now have gates up to block off the area. An RCSD spokesperson says the new gas station owner decided to close down after yesterday's verdict until further notice. Lena Allen, WIS News 10.
Now, we spoke with the current owners of that gas station, and they're making it clear that they are not connected to Chow and have owned the property since November of 2023.
They sent a statement reading in part, quote, "We have never had and do not have any relationship, association, or ties whatsoever with the Chow family. We are completely new owners of this property and were not involved in any events that may have occurred prior to our ownership," end quote.
All right, y'all, there y'all have it, man. That's a crazy story of Rick Chow and the unfortunate events that ended up taking the life of Cyrus Carmack-Belton. My condolences to his family, man. May he forever rest in power. Hey, man, we're gonna do this outro different. We about to give him a moment of silence, y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next video.